Welcome to Mr. Johnson's website. This is introduction to how to find your way around mrjohnsons.net. Now, as you look at the title page here, all you got to do in order to find this web page is type in mrjohnsons.net, and it will take you to this website. You see at the across the top, I have the tabs for all the different classes that I teach. In order to get to your materials, that is where you're probably most likely going to click, and it will take you right there. I also want to call your attention to on the left-hand column below the Marvin the Martian picture, you will see that I have those links as well. There's a student council link there in addition to that. Also History Day. A lot of the information, pretty much all the information that you need in order to help you with History Day is located at that link. But this is to introduce you of how to do stuff for my classes. We're going to use world history as the example. So go ahead and click on world history. And then you see listed there the chapters that we're going to have for the class. So go ahead and you can click on we will click on the chapter 1. And as you look at this, this is where you're going to spend a little bit, most of your time if you're coming to the website to look up what's going on in class. Have a little introduction there, kind of letting you know a little bit of what the chapter is about. And then I have listed the assignments. Now, these assignments, you're going to get this printed out hard copy. It's also going to be posted up on RenWeb. It is my guarantee that these dates are not going to be moved forward, in other words, an earlier time. Now, if we have a snowstorm or if class discussion requires it, these dates can be moved back to a later date, but I'm never going to move them up. So you know exactly what's expected, when it's expected, and you can see it here. And you know, and as I said, I also am going to maintain that on RenWeb as per school policy. But as you go down below those assignments, you're going to see the discussions. And what we're going to do is instead of me talking in class and the students taking notes, is that we're going to have them do that on their own at home, or they can do it in the computer lab. One of the things that I think this is going to help us with is that we're going to be spending less time in class waiting for people to write down the notes, and we're going to be able to spend more time either discussing in depth or being able to do additional information or additional activities in the classroom in order to make it more meaningful to the students. So what you're going to do is that, you see there I have the dates that I'm assuming that you're going to have these done before you come to class. For example, discussion number 1 on here, it says humanism and trade. It's going to be, you have to have it done by the time you come to class on August 28th. So we're going to click on discussion number 1, humanism and trade. So we're going to click on that, and then the website's going to take us there, and then you're going to essentially see 2 web objects. The first one I want to call your attention to is the PowerPoint looking slide that is on this. It's the second one on this list. And you will see that these are the notes that I'm going to ask that all the students write down before they come to class when that discussion is due. You write them down at your own pace, but you need to get them written down. Now, if there's pictures or maps, I just want you to look at them. Don't try to recreate them on their own unless you want to. So these notes will need to be written down, and you will be, and I will be asking to see them at least once a marking period. It is my plan with the new way that the class is going to be set up that I'm going to want to see, I'm hoping to look at these at least once during each chapter so that I can make sure that you're keeping up on the notes. So you need to make sure that these notes are taken before you show up to class. And then after you take the notes, what we have here above those notes is the MP3 recording of the class lecture. These are going to last from 4 to 10 minutes. There's a couple that go just a little bit over 10 minutes and for the requirements, but instead of spending a half hour to 40 minutes, an entire class period, getting this information, I have found that if I just talk and not wait for all the students to write down the notes or to deal with little questions here and there that really aren't with the meat of the material, I've found that this is a much better use of time. And so after you've written down the notes, you need to listen to the lecture or to what I'm calling the discussion. Now, it is important to realize that there is going to be things said in the discussion that are not necessarily in the notes. And so you need to make sure that you listen to it, because that's going to help you with what we're doing in class, to make sure that you're at least hearing that extra stuff. And it's also going to be an extra explanation. On a side note, this is also going to help our international students, because it will allow them to listen to it and re-listen to it. It will allow you to pause it because maybe you missed a word. Even I mean, and English students, you might have been, if we had been doing this in class, you may have been so desperate to make sure you wrote down the words that you weren't necessarily listening. And this gives you a chance to pause and then make sure that you're paying attention and listen to it again. Use them for review. These are savable. You can put them on an iPod or whatever, and you can listen to them again. I know that my voice is wonderfully beautiful, and everyone wants to listen to it over and over again, and it's better than the artist. Okay, I know I'm fooling myself, but that is where you'll be listening to it. Now, if there's a chance that you cannot listen to it here because, first of all, I'm pretty sure that these will not work on the audio will not work on an iPad. Because it is flash based and iPad does not do flash. So we are going to go back to that chapter page where we had all the assignments listed, and we have right above where we linked in to where we were going, we had a link there. It says direct link to all discussions. If you click on that direct link, it will take you to a list of all those MP3s so that you can play them directly without having to be dependent on that flash player. So you see that WH1D1 is on the bottom of that list. You'd hit play, and then a player will come up, and that should work for you. You can also download it so that you can listen to it through your own player on your device. Now, the last thing I want to make sure that everyone realizes is near the end of the first week of school, I'm going to be using the RenWeb emails that you have logged in, that you had to do that when you registered, and I'm going to be sending everyone an email that's have a little bit of explanation, and it's going to have a link. Now, that link is to Dropbox.com. Now, so far, nothing needs to be installed for any of this to work. Dropbox, what it is, it's a place where anyone can park files, and then you can access them anywhere with an internet connection, so long as you have your username and password. Well, what I can do with this Dropbox is that I can also make it readily available to anyone if they have the link. So what I would like everyone to do is that when you get that email, I'd like you to go ahead and go to that website, and what you're going to see when you're there is that you're going to see your entire class's work in folders. For example, you're going to see, we look at this one, you see that we're in the World History Dropbox folder, and then I have Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4. And if you look at Chapter 1 and you select that Chapter 1, you will see all the worksheets that we're going to have for that class. So you're sitting at home and you check the mrjohnsons.net, or you see RenWeb, and it's like, oh, that worksheet's due tomorrow and I left it at school. Or what usually is more precise, oh, I lost it. You can go directly to this you can go directly to this link, and you can get that, go to this page, print it out for yourself, and you don't have to worry about trying to call your neighbor or the student who sits next to you and say, hey, can you print one off for me? It's all here, ready for you to go. So these are some things that I do through mrjohnsons.net to try to make your life a little bit easier, and to help you learn and understand more about your social studies class. If you have any questions, please make sure that you send me an email. I have an email that's Mr. Johnson. There's no period in there. It's mrjohnson at mrjohnsons. There's no apostrophe, just Mr. Johnson with an S, .net. That email address is on the printed syllabus that you got the first day. You can also call me at home. That number is also on the syllabus, or you can use my school email, tjohnson@cvcsblazers.com. Both of those email addresses do come to my cell phone. I'm not saying that I'm going to get a direct response to you immediately. Contrary to popular belief, I do have a life, but that's where you can get, and if there's any technical difficulties, let me know and we'll see if we can work through it. Looking forward to history this year. Looking forward to having you in class. We can have an opportunity to learn a bunch about what our past is so that we can understand our present and have an idea of what might happen in the future based on past events. Thank you very much, and we're going to have a great year.